The rain was relentless that night in Seattle, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Alaric, a software engineer, had built a life with my wife, Bront. We met in college, two awkward souls finding solace in each other's company. We built a home, a life filled with quiet evenings, shared dreams, and what I believed was unwavering love. I'm 46 years old, and I thought I knew Bront better than I knew myself. But lately, things had been off. She'd been distant, preoccupied. Her laughter, once a constant melody in our home, had become a rare, almost forced sound. I chalked it up to stress at work. She was a marketing executive and deadlines were always looming. But the excuses started wearing thin. The first red flag was the phone. Bront had always been an open book, sharing everything with me. Now she clutched her phone like it was a lifeline, angling the screen away from me, jumping when I entered the room. She'd always left it charging on the kitchen counter, but now it was her constant companion, even in the bathroom. Then came the late nights at the office. Bront had always been dedicated to her career, but these were different. She'd come home exhausted, barely able to string a sentence together, and then collapse into bed, turning away from me. Our physical intimacy, once a source of comfort and connection, dwindled to almost nothing. I tried to talk to her, to ask her what was wrong, but she'd brush me off, saying she was just tired. One evening, I decided to surprise her at work. I brought her favorite coffee and a pastry, hoping to catch her before she got too engrossed in her tasks. Her office was on the 10th floor of a gleaming skyscraper downtown. I rode the elevator, my heart pounding with anticipation. But when I reached her floor, the receptionist informed me that Bront had left hours ago. Confused, I called her cell phone. It went straight to voicemail. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. Where was she? I drove home, my mind racing. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she had a meeting off-site. Maybe she went out for dinner with a client. But the excuses felt hollow, flimsy. When I arrived, the house was empty. The only sound was the gentle hum of the refrigerator. Bront finally came home around 10 o'clock. She looked flustered, her hair slightly disheveled. "Sorry I'm late," she said, avoiding my gaze. "We had a last-minute crisis at work. I went to your office," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "They said you left hours ago." Bront's eyes widened. She stammered, There was a change of plans. We had to meet at a different location." "Where?" I pressed. "Where did you meet?" She hesitated, her face flushed. "It doesn't matter," she said. "It was just a meeting." But it did matter. It mattered a lot. I knew deep down that she was lying. The way she avoided my eyes, the tremor in her voice, the forced casualness, it all screamed deception. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, my mind replaying every moment of the past few weeks, searching for clues, for answers. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The next morning, I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I decided to snoop. I knew it was wrong, a violation of her privacy, but I couldn't bear the uncertainty any longer. Bront had already left for work. I waited until the coast was clear, then went to her home office. Her laptop was on the desk. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the mouse. What if I found nothing? What if I was just being paranoid? But I had to know. I took a deep breath and clicked the mouse. The screen flickered to life. Bront's email was open. My heart pounded in my chest. I scrolled through her inbox, my eyes scanning the subject lines. Most of them were work-related, but one caught my attention. It was from someone named Alistair. The subject line read, "Tonight." My hand trembled as I clicked on the email. The message was short and simple, "Can't wait to see you tonight." Same place below it was Bront's reply, "Me neither. It's going to be a long day until then, Alistair." Who was Alistair? I scrolled further down, my stomach churning. There were dozens of emails between them, filled with flirtatious banter, inside jokes, and veiled allusions to secret meetings. The emails spanned several weeks, then I saw it. An email with the subject line, "Photos." I clicked on it, my heart sinking. Attached were several images. I opened them and my world shattered. The photos were of Bront and Alistair. They were in a hotel room, embracing, kissing, their faces flushed with passion. There were even more explicit photos, images that seared themselves into my memory. I stared at the photos, my mind numb. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my Bront, but it was. The woman in the photos was undeniably her, the woman I had loved and trusted for 20 years. A wave of nausea washed over me. I stumbled to the bathroom and vomited. I felt like I had been punched in the gut, like my entire world had been ripped apart. Betrayal. That was the only word that could describe what I was feeling. I had been betrayed by the woman I loved, the woman I had dedicated my life to. The pain was unbearable, a searing agony that consumed me. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, wandering around the house like a ghost. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't think. All I could see were those photos, those images of Brant with another man. When Brant came home that evening, I confronted her. I showed her the emails, the photos. She didn't deny it. She couldn't, it just happened, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't mean for it to happen. Who is he? I asked, my voice hoarse. Who is Alistair? He's a colleague, she said. We've been working closely together on a project. How long? I demanded. How long has this been going on? She hesitated. A few months, she admitted. A few months. All those late nights, all those secretive phone calls, all those excuses, it had all been a lie. I'm so sorry, she said, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted to hurt you, but she had hurt me. She had hurt me more than I ever thought possible. She had shattered my trust, my love, my entire world. I want you to leave, I said, my voice cold and hard. I want you out of my house. Brant pleaded with me, begged me to forgive her. She promised it would never happen again. She said she still loved me, but I couldn't forgive her. The trust was gone, irrevocably broken. She left that night, taking a suitcase filled with her clothes and personal belongings. As I watched her drive away, I felt a strange mixture of grief, anger, and relief. The pain was still there, but there was also a sense of freedom, a sense of finally being able to breathe. In the days that followed, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I called in sick to work. I spent my days wandering around the house, staring at the walls, replaying the events of the past few weeks in my mind. I told my friends and family what had happened. They were shocked and supportive. They offered me comfort and advice. They told me I deserved better, but nothing could ease the pain. I decided to seek professional help. I started seeing a therapist. She helped me process my emotions, understand what had happened, and start the long journey of healing. One day, my therapist suggested that I try to find a way to channel my anger and pain into something productive. She suggested that I take up a hobby, something that would distract me from my thoughts and give me a sense of purpose. I had always been interested in photography, so I bought a camera and started taking pictures. I photographed everything: landscapes, cityscapes, portraits. Photography became my escape, my therapy. As I immersed myself in photography, I started to feel a sense of calm, a sense of control. I was still hurting, but I was also healing. I was starting to find myself again. One evening, I was browsing through Brant's social media profiles. I hadn't looked at them since she left. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was just torturing myself. I found Alistair's profile. He was a senior executive at Brant's company, a married man with 2 children. A wave of anger washed over me. He had destroyed my marriage, my life. And he was getting away with it. I decided to do something about it. I knew I couldn't confront him directly. That would only make things worse. But I could expose him. I could reveal his affair to his wife, his family, his colleagues. I gathered all the evidence. I had the emails, the photos, the phone records. I created an anonymous email account and sent the evidence to Alistair's wife, his boss, and several of his colleagues. I didn't know what the consequences would be, but I didn't care. I just wanted him to feel the same pain that I had felt. I wanted him to pay for what he had done. I waited, my heart pounding with anticipation. A few days later, I received an email from Alistair's wife. It was short and to the point. "Thank you for opening my eyes." I later learned that Alistair had been fired from his job and his wife had filed for divorce. His life had been turned upside down. I felt a sense of satisfaction, a sense of justice. He had paid for his actions, but the satisfaction was fleeting. It didn't bring Brant back. It didn't erase the pain. I realized that revenge wasn't the answer. It didn't heal the wounds. It only prolonged the suffering. The only way to truly heal was to move on, to forgive, to let go. I focused on my photography, on my therapy, on my friends and family. I started to rebuild my life piece by piece. It was a slow and difficult process, but I was determined to make it work. One day I met someone new. Her name was Callista. She was kind, intelligent, and beautiful. She was also divorced. We connected on a deep level. We shared our stories, our pain, our hopes, and our dreams. Callista helped me to see that there was life after Braun. She helped me to trust again, to love again. She showed me that I was worthy of happiness. We started dating. Our relationship was slow and cautious. We took our time, getting to know each other, building a foundation of trust and respect. Eventually, we fell in love. It was a different kind of love than I had experienced with Braun. It was a more mature, more grounded love. It was a love that was built on honesty, communication, and mutual support. I learned a lot from my experience with Braun. I learned that love is not always enough. I learned that trust is fragile and easily broken. I learned that forgiveness is essential for healing. I also learned that I am stronger than I thought I was. I learned that I can survive heartbreak and betrayal. I learned that I can find happiness again, even after the darkest of times. I eventually forgave Bront. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary for my own healing. I realized that holding onto anger and resentment was only hurting me. Forgiving her allowed me to move on, to close that chapter of my life. Bront eventually remarried. I wished her well. I hoped she had found happiness. I hoped she had learned from her mistakes. I married Callista. We built a beautiful life together. We traveled the world, we shared our passions, we supported each other through thick and thin. I never forgot Bront. She was a part of my past, a part of my story, but she no longer defined me. I had moved on. I had found happiness again. I had learned to love again. The rain still falls in Seattle, but it no longer feels like a reflection of my inner turmoil. It's just rain, a part of the natural world. And I am at peace, finally at peace. Years later, I ran into Bront at a local grocery store. She looked older, her face etched with lines of regret. She apologized for the pain she had caused me, her voice filled with remorse. She told me that her life had been difficult since our divorce, that she had made many mistakes. I listened, my heart filled with a mixture of pity and forgiveness. I told her that I had moved on, that I was happy. I wished her well and walked away. As I drove home, I realized that I had finally let go of the past. I was free. My story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even after the most devastating betrayals, it is possible to heal, to forgive, and to find happiness again.